Hello and welcome to Sex Talk with Natasha. The topic tonight is going to be about romance and how to sweeten the deal and why romance is an important part of both sexual and non-sexual aspects of your significant relationship. So some of the bullet points that we're going to be covering are, what is romance to begin with? How do we define that? How do we make sure that's personalized enough to your situation? We're going to talk about why we need romance for healthy, erotic, sustainable relationships to begin with and some of the research around that. We're going to be talking about some danger zones, like typical things that interfere with us being willing to or having the time to be romantic. We're going to talk about some tools to help you kind of assess where you currently are in your romantic gestures and some ways to kind of consider thinking about your relationship a little bit differently. And then fifth, we're going to talk about actual examples and some strategies as far as how to up your game in the romantic department. So I'm really excited for this topic. With Valentine's Day coming up, I thought it'd be fun to focus on romance and love. And next week's topic will be about upping our skills as lovers. So, checking out how we feel about our sex skills. So those are kind of two topics I thought would be fun in the month of February. As far as, just kind of understanding what Sex Talk with Natasha is about, this is an interactive kind of sexual education platform meant for adults. I'm a big believer that most of us did not get comprehensive sexual education in our upbringings, and so most of us are carrying around either baggage or past wounds or misinformation or kind of folklore around sexuality that doesn't really help us reach our full sexual potential in our relationships. And as a certified sex therapist, I see lots of issues coming through my office that I think could, for the most part, a lot of them could be significantly reduced as far as distress, just from an educational perspective. I mean, some people need more than just psychoeducation or sexual education in their relational issues, but it's definitely a great place to start. And some people, it's hard for them to afford sex therapy or have limited resources in their geographical areas. And so it's kind of an important passion of mine to make this a cost-effective platform for people to get accurate, sound, research-based information about sexuality that can enhance their sexual lives either individually or in partnerships. So that's what Sex Talk is about. How we're doing it as far as the format is every week on Wednesday nights, we have an interactive confidential webinar, which if you join me at that particular time, you can actually ask questions, you can interact with me throughout the webinar and have, your specific questions answered throughout that process, or you can always access the webinars after the live event happens, which then it's no longer interactive, but you have access to that material whenever you want. And you can do that through purchasing the webinars as a one-time event, or you can become a Patreon subscriber, which again, for the cost of only one webinar per month, you get access to, all of the webinars and all of the materials on Patreon if you are a monthly subscriber. So that's kind of probably the better deal, and it's still a very cost-effective approach to being able to have available resources to your sexuality and in a way that is doable financially and also time-wise. Not only do you get access to webinars, but I typically post anywhere from 2 to 3 or 4 times a week on other, resources, maybe articles I've come across, homework assignments that I think might be helpful for you, tips and strategies, etc. As well as you have access to a community forum of other Patreon subscribers where oftentimes they'll interact with one another and share their own experiences or things that are working for them, as well as you have access then to email me directly through the Patreon page and ask me questions directly in a very private way. So becoming a subscriber is really a very easy, cost-effective, hopefully value-driven option if that's something that you're interested in. Because Patreon is like Facebook and it's hard after a while to keep track of all the different things that are on the page. You can also go to the website itself, sextalkwithnatasha.com, and that will give you a very itemized, very organized way to see what all the resources are that we've developed so far. And we're about a year and a third into this project, so we've developed quite a bit, and I'm really proud of all the resources and things that people can look at as far as, things that you might be wondering about, have questions about, need information on, etc. So please consider joining us tonight if you want to learn on how to up your romantic skills and why that might be important to the sustainability, especially of long-term relationships. And if you have any other questions, feel free to post them on this thread or message me through Facebook personally. If you have any topics that you'd want me to consider covering, please let me know about that, because I'm always considering new topics. I mean, we do this almost weekly, except for when we take a few vacations, so that's a lot of sex topics that we're coming up with. Last week we did one on enjoying anal sex and understanding anal play and why some people enjoy that. And if you want to and be curious about that, how to best go about that. So lots of different topics. There's really no topic I'm not willing to cover. So I know sometimes talking about sex can feel taboo, can feel a little bit embarrassing. So I'm trying to make as many options as possible to be very anonymous from the comfort of your own home. You don't have to go to a webinar or to a place where it's public to be able to access this kind of information. All right, so with that, I just want to say to health, to your authenticity, to pleasure, to wonderful sexual potential, and until next week, we'll see you. Take care, everybody. Good night.